It's a pandemic, in case you haven't heard. We're just cooking our way through it. And today I'm going to share a comfort recipe. You know, we're looking for comfort. We're looking for comfort in a lot of places as we go through this. And one of my mother's recipes, my favorite, maybe, I say everything's my favorite, but it's one of my all-time favorites of her recipes. You can even see how old this is, and this is what how we used to keep our recipes, pre-Pinterest. And it is her oatmeal cake recipe. It's a great one. It's an economical one. You generally will have the ingredients for this oatmeal cake. Quaker oats. Generally we keep oatmeal around, and it's brown sugar, white sugar, flour, eggs, butter, always butter. The icing has some coconut in it, and it doesn't call for nuts, but my mother always put nuts. She loved pecans, and so I'm putting pecans. I always do as well. So that would be a little pricier with the coconut and pecans. And if you don't care for coconut, some people don't. I don't know why. But if you don't like coconut, you can leave that out and maybe just use the pecans. I don't know if you could make it without either one. You kind of need that. It reminds me of the German chocolate icing is really what it reminds me a lot of. So we're going to whip that up today. It's very fast. It's a good funeral cake. If you've got to unexpectedly take food to somebody, or sickness, or whatever the situation, or celebration. We do still have celebrations. This is a good one to take. People love it. I have passed this recipe out so many times. It's just one of those cakes that it's scrumptious and just really, really easy. And while my mother's oatmeal cake gives me a lot of comfort, there's another place where I get way more comfort, and that's from God's Word. And in this pandemic, I would be amiss if I did not share that with you. Psalm 139, I think, is just one of the all-time, right up there, high-level comfort psalms. In this psalm, you will see the omniscience of God. You know, He is all-knowing. You will see the omnipresence of God. He is everywhere. The omnipotence of God. He is all-powerful. It's such a good reminder to us of who's in charge here. Yeah, who is in charge here. Let me just read, I'm going to read 16 verses. The 16th verse has been the one that the Lord's used to really comfort me. And so I'll build up to that one. But let me just read it quickly before we begin. O Lord, you have searched me and you have known me. You know when I sit down, you know when I rise up, you discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. You hem me in, behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high. I cannot attain it. How can we know the ways of God? I mean, it's just beyond our entertaining the notion of. Verse 7, where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? And would I even want to? No. If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light about me be night. Even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day, for darkness is as light with you. And then we get the section about his omnipotence, his power. You formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. And here's my fighter verse. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. God saw us before we were even formed, our unformed substance. He has a book, and in his book are written every one of the days that he has ordained for me and the days he has ordained for you. You know what? That gives me comfort. That gives me rest. Coronavirus, bring it. You will not take me out 1 second before these ordained days that God has for me. And the same applies to you. So we can have joy even in coronavirus pandemic 2020. So let's just get to the joy and the delight of his provision in food that he has provided for us, and the wholesomeness of oatmeal. Let's call this cake wholesome. No matter what's going on, let there be cake. I mean, seriously, let there be cake. Let's get started. Okay, I have creamed the butter and the brown sugar and the white sugar. And now we're ready to add our 2 eggs. I should beat that probably after each one, and I probably shouldn't drop an eggshell down in there. But the cake's gonna have pecans in it, so if somebody gets something a little gritty, perhaps they will just think it's a pecan. You think? All right, it comes together very, very quick. You've got the eggs and you're adding that to your sugar, and then we're gonna add our oatmeal. You have taken this oatmeal and put hot water in it and gotten it softened, and so then you're gonna add that. Mine's gotten a little hard on me. You know how oatmeal will kind of turn to concrete? I think that's why it's good for your arteries. I'm so scientific like that. Okay. Let me lump this oatmeal out of here. It'll soften up once it gets in with all the other ingredients. Do you like those Little Debbie oatmeal cakes? They're so good. This is 100 times better. Okay. Now we're gonna add, I've measured, I weighed out my flour, and I've added my soda and salt and cinnamon to it. So you just dump that in. Gently stir at this point because we've added the flour. Then we're going to put it in our pan. We will put it, it's in a low oven. My recipe says 275 degrees. And I usually wind up raising that. I started there, but then I wind up raising it to around 300. Maybe my mother had an oven that cooked different, I don't know. And it calls for it to cook for 35 to 40 minutes. So go with your oven and see how your oven cooks. Anyway, I will get this poured into the pan and we'll get it into the oven. And soon there will be cake. Right, we've put the cake in the oven. We've tucked it away for about 40 minutes. And in the meantime, I will be getting this icing put together. You put the icing on a warm cake, and so this way I will have it ready to go. It's 1 cup of brown sugar, it's a stick of butter, and then I will add, here is my camera crew, I will add, whoa, yeah, I did. I'm on a cheap budget here. I'm just gonna go ahead and add that cream to get rid of it. there's a pandemic. I'm doing the best I can. And then you also have your pecans. I do quite a few because I like pecans. I don't measure them. And 1 cup of coconut. Can you see that? Anyway, I will get this mess cleaned up. And I just cleaned my oven about a week ago. Anyway, I'll get this mess cleaned up and we'll have this icing ready to go. It's super delicious. And there will soon be cake.
Okay,
It's cake time.
it's cake time. She cleaned the porch and baked the cake this morning, so we gotta try this cake out.
Look at that.
It's gonna be good.
This is a cake. I'm talking, this is a cake. Let's see if you remember this recipe. Do you know whose recipe this is?
Nanny's.
Yes, Nanny's.
Nanny's recipe. Good.
This is lunch, by the way. That is so good. It almost makes you forget there's a pandemic.
It does. I might get, if this is lunch, I might give me 2 more pieces.
2 more.
Very good.
It is good.
Delicious.
It is one of my favorite cakes.
Mine too. That cherry is probably my favorite. This is good though.
You like the cherry cheesecake? This is good.
It's very good.
Well, y'all enjoy your Saturday.
We are.